Hi and welcome to another chess video with me. I'm Master Ingvar Jóhannesson from Iceland. Welcome to my chess channel, Sipit's chess channel. I'm going to be looking at some chess patterns from chess pattern recognition, and I will place this video on a playlist that I call Patterns in Action. I previously had some videos with similar themes where I'm looking at game examples of patterns that I've previously covered. One of the videos was actually a brand new pattern, which maybe should have been a pattern recognition video, but a very nice series. So if you haven't seen those videos, some of them are a bit older, but I think very instructive. So I do encourage you to have a look at that playlist. As always, if you want to encourage me to keep making material, you sharing my video or liking it or leaving comments will be helpful in telling YouTube that people like my content. So please, if you do like, then help me out in that way. But yeah, I'm gonna show you in this video 4 patterns from pattern recognition videos in action. And the first one is from my latest pattern recognition video, number 13, which we called the Shankland draw. This position actually became aware of it on the day that I published the video. The video was actually on my computer. Yeah, the computer was processing the video and making it. I was out of town refereeing a basketball game, and I even considered adding this to the video, but decided then to add it to another video. But yeah, this was played on the same day, and yeah, before we go on to see what happened in the game, there was a funny tweet by Carlson about this one. So first check out the pattern recognition video, the Shankland draw, before we look at this, because we are looking at the same pattern. So if you don't know the pattern, it's more useful for you to look at the pattern and learn it, and then you will understand this game better, and you will understand this tweet also better from Carlson, which was well, a pun directed at Shankland, and he said, "Very interesting ending from Gibraltar. Seems to me white will use the majority on the queen side to create a passed pawn. Black will then sack the bishop and resign." So this of course is a pawn at Shankland, who resigned in a drawn position against Geary in a Viscount Say. But Melkumian with black here, he did not make the Shankland blunder. He was playing here against Navarra. So what Carlson was saying is that white has 3 against 2 here. So he will be able to trade down to a passed pawn, but black will be able to then sacrifice his bishop for the pawn, and if his king can reach the e7 square, it cannot be driven out, as you already know from the Shankland pattern, the Shankland draw. So this is the G file. In the video we looked at the B file, but it actually doesn't matter. So let's see what happened. Black played a5. The pawn on a black square, hard to attack it, and the idea is that white has to play a3, b4 and trade 1 pawn, which will move black closer to a draw. From king e5, white tried to make progress, slowly but surely, c5, and he pushed c6. Now, eventually, to make any progress, you will have to push a3 and b4, and that's eventually what happened here. A3, bishop to e2, and b4. So the problem with trying to attack the pawn with the king earlier was that black could have placed his bishop so that he's attacking here, and this guy can't protect this and this at the same time. So white takes here with a pawn, bishop to f1, b5. So white is now ready to play b6, and he has a passed pawn. But black will be ready then to sacrifice his bishop for it. So let's see what happened. So yeah, if you play b6 immediately, that's a blunder. I will take with check, king takes, bishop takes c6, and I'm in time to reach e7, and I will draw. So white has to take care if he wants to win the game. And the rest of the game was actually black white trying to make progress, but to no avail really. Okay, black can take this pawn, but of course if it does, we will trade and then push the pawn, and white wins. So black just stays passive. And here finally, with black attacking this pawn, white pushed it. Plays bishop e6, he's threatening c7, but black doesn't care, he just plays bishop a6, bishop f5. And white can play this, but we already know that. Now we will just push this, and once you make the queen, I will simply chop it off, and I'm already in the correct position, and it's a draw. So white tries to muck around a little bit with his bishop. Bishop to b5. Yeah, the pawn has to be pushed to c7, and now bishop d7. Bishop tries to go around the other way, but it makes no difference. Once you queen the pawn, I will just chop off the pawn. And yeah, white simply can't make any progress. And the remaining moves are more or less just moving in circles here. The bishop is always covering a queen square, ready to sacrifice itself. Eventually, Navarra played a little bit of a joke here. He promoted to a knight, which Melkumian took, and now, yeah, it's a dead draw. Takes the pawn and the king back and forth. Navarra even made another joke, played bishop g8, gave up the bishop, and then stalemated the black king because, well, he knew there was no way to win it. So yeah, that was a nice example. On the same day we had another example, and let's pull that up. Here we have a game from the Iranian Championship unending, and black just played the move knight to d4, and we're about to have liquidation here. White took the pawn on a4, black took on h5, king b4, and the king is threatening to play king c3, attack the knight, and then take the pawn. The problem is that black can play knight c2 just in time. It's check, and if you take, the pawn will queen, so the king moves, but black, well, fortunately for black, knew the drawing method. He took on a3 and then simply walked the king back to e7, and they didn't even try here. King f8, and a draw was agreed. So yeah, 2 games on the same day, and seems like they had, better chess culture than Shankland, as Shankland himself called it. But as we already mentioned in the pattern recognition video, Shankland bounced back in an exemplary way by beating Nepo and Kramnik after resigning in a drawn position. So a very nice comeback. But now we're going to look at other patterns. So the next 2 patterns are from a recent Blitz tournament I played in Iceland. And yeah, so basically I got 2 wins in this Blitz tournament, almost straight out of the pattern recognition videos. Very strong Blitz tournament. It had 3 grandmasters. I managed to place second. Played against 2 grandmasters, beat one of them and lost the other one. But I played plenty of strong players, and the pattern recognition allowed me to beat 2 of them almost just on this knowledge. One of the games was just basically theory, and that pattern is what I called in pattern recognition number 1, the undefended bishop on b7. So we played a little something like this. Played e6, bishop g2, d5, and the move order is actually not important. Played b6, played d4, bishop here. He probably castled. No, it's my move. I played knight e5. He castled. Knight c3, and he played knight d7. The move order doesn't matter. We usually end up in this position. And here, queen a4 is a very promising move, and black is in trouble. He has problems defending this pawn, and there's pressure here. Many ways for black to go wrong, and usually they take on e5, which my opponent did. and then he played knight d7. The problems in this position are, yeah, difficult for black. I can take on e4 if he plays that, and then I play rook d1, queen e8, the queen comes back to c2, I attack the pawn. If you try to defend it, I have time for this, and next I take here, winning a pawn. So my opponent yeah, thought for a bit and probably saw that those were problems, and he played knight d7 here. I took on d5, and here my opponent blundered. If he takes on d5, I will take with a knight. I'm threatening to take here, and the bishop hangs, and if you take, I will take. The rook has to move, and I have a pleasant choice between taking on a7 at some stage, or trying to defend the pawn here, even flicking in. Maybe just protecting stuff for queen e4 might be a move. But he blundered with knight takes e5, and here the game is basically over immediately. And this I could all play almost instantly. And yeah, if you watch my pattern recognition number 1, the pattern undefended bishop on b7, we have several examples of exactly this tactical pattern, d6. And yeah, once he takes on g2, the bishop is hanging. Of course, if you take on d6, I take on b7, I win a free piece. And if you take on g2, I take on e7. This is what happened in the game. Now the queen is attacked, you have to take on e7. I take on g2, I won a piece, and yeah, the rest was easy. Now let's have a look at the other game. In that game I had the black pieces, and there I managed to execute a tactical pattern that I call choking Karpov, the Karpov choke, and it's from a famous game between Karpov and Taimanov. I will leave a link to all these patterns, so you should be familiar with these patterns if you're a loyal fan of my channel. But if you're new, then do check them out and add to your vast knowledge of chess. So I'm just going to quickly go through the game, and we will get to the pattern. This game was, I had the black pieces. My opponent is also a FIDE master. And we had this check Benoni, which I play a lot, especially in blitz. Bishop e7, knight f3. And yeah, black has these pawn breaks on the king side or the queen side. f5 on the king side, b5 on the queen side. Similar for white. In this game he played for b4, he played it immediately. I played b6, rook to b1. So he wants to take on c5 and try to penetrate eventually on the b file. A normal plan for these positions. Play g6, bishop h6, normal moves. The knight goes to e1 now. That allows me to trade. Usually a favorable trade for black in these positions. He took and played knight a4, so he wants to trade off my knight here, which will enable him to penetrate on the queen side. So I decided to back off with my queen, cover b6, he played rook b2, intending to double. Played f5, f3. Usually a normal move, but the problem with f3 is also that you do weaken this diagonal, and well, that became a factor in this game. I now play knight h5, the knight on g7 wasn't standing well, and now it's ready maybe to come into f4. Queen b1. Now the queen swung over to the king side, and here I was starting to eye my game ending idea. He played knight to b6, and here I played queen e3 check with the idea that we'll see in the game. He played king h1, which looks like a natural move. You get out of the check. You could play rook f2, but maybe he thought it was a bit tricky. And now I sort of spring the trap. I take on b6. He takes with the rook, and this pawn is attacked. So I very calmly just play rook f6, and I'm just protecting this pawn. I'm just protecting the pawn. No evil plans. But I had very evil plans, and after rook b8, Dr. Evil was unleashed. So yeah, this should be a very easy tactical puzzle once you're here. And the idea of rook f6, of course, was to play the Karpov joke. Knight g3 jack. You can only take, and yeah, you will see this pattern thoroughly explained in my pattern recognition video. And g5 now. And miraculously, there's no way to stop this. White can take my rook, but it's going to be a very unhealthy meal. But it's going to be a last supper anyway, because rook h6 will end the game next move. So yeah, it was very satisfying to get these patterns, and it helped me to get a very good score in this Blitz tournament, which was unfortunately unrated, because otherwise I would have gained 20 points, which would have been nice. But it's also nice to play chess for fun. So yeah, those were 4 patterns that we've already covered in real games, and that's why we try to learn them, because they can be applied. And yeah, I again encourage you to have a look at the other videos in this series, and I'm sure I will have more videos like this in the future, where we look at, you know, practical examples of themes that we have already looked at. So I'll see you in a future video. Goodbye.